Happy Hump Day, everybody. Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. Got a great question recently. Somebody asked me, what do I carry on adventures for a first aid kit? And it doesn't matter if you're a full-time adventurer or a first-time adventurer, you need to be carrying something for first aid because you just never know when an emergency is going to happen. First of all, first aid training. I have the basic level. I've taken first aid level 1 3 different times for different jobs that I've had, and it's a great starting point. It teaches you everything you need to know to basically save someone's life and everything you need to know about a basic first aid kit. So if somebody's mildly dying, I can probably save them. If they're for real dying, they should probably find a doctor. This is the first aid kit that I carry on adventures. I got this when I was fighting wildfires, and it is just the basics of sterilization and stopping the bleeding. If I was exploring places with a greater density of other people, it would be wise to carry a mask so that you can do CPR, as well as an EpiPen and Narcan. Just myself and Emmy, we're not really concerned about an overdose or anaphylactic shock. Neither of us are really allergic to anything, so the rest is not necessary. So that's my adventure first aid kit. In the rig, I have a larger basic first aid kit. This is just military surplus first aid kit, and same thing. It's just a whole bunch of stopping the bleeding and sterilization. There's a nice little list in here, so when you use something, you can see it and replace it when needed. I've had this kit for years, and I've kind of just used things and replaced them as necessary. It seems like this year I've needed it more than ever, but I think I just ignored all the cuts before. Emmy likes to bandage things up. A new addition to my first aid repertoire that I'm pretty excited about is this item right here. So, living on the road full time, I don't really have access to a family doctor or a clinic that I can get into without having to wait usually 3 or 4 weeks to get in to see a doctor about typically a minor issue. Jace Medical, they specialize in emergency prescription preparedness. So for somebody like myself traveling around, going on these adventures and having encountered some issues in the past, it's great to know that I have this prescription medication for if something comes up. For example, I explore lots in the Chilcotin where there's a lot of ticks. Even though Lyme's disease isn't nearly as prevalent in this area, it still is around, and you only have 8 days. If you've been bitten by a tick with Lyme's disease, you have 8 days to treat it, or you have that illness for the rest of your life. You might remember a couple years back, I got an infection in my bloodstream that was spreading really quickly. And lucky enough, we were close to a clinic and we were able to get in, but it would have been, or could have been, a fatal issue if I hadn't gotten in and gotten medication right away. So this right here is a neat thing. This is, just to be clear, a basic Jace case. I'll put a link in the description below so you can get a closer look at it, but they all come with the same 5 items and this book. This is a great resource. It is a guidebook on all the different medications that you can get, and it's a guidebook on different symptoms and the medications you should be taking if you're having those symptoms. Really great resource to have. So I am not a doctor, I'm not a pharmacist, I'm not going to tell you all about these medications, but I'll tell you one. Let's just look at one so you can understand how the case works. Got some doxycycline here. This is going to be your go-to if you've been bitten by a tick. It gives you an introduction, what the other names are, conditions treated, anthrax exposure, bite wound, Lyme's disease, malaria, pneumonia, plague exposure, sinusitis, skin infections, tetanus. Gives you adult dosing, side effects, when to avoid, and special populations, for example, pregnant women. if you're in a position where you can utilize something like this, I'm sure you're going to go to the website and you can get a full rundown of everything that comes in the basic case, as well as the add-ons. There's a whole ton of different add-ons that you can get. But just to be clear, this isn't something that you can just go on the internet and order. There is a procedure you go through with a real doctor, including sending in a photo of your identification, be it a driver's license or a passport, so that this is all in your name as a prescription. It just comes in so handy so that you can be prepared when you're out in the wilderness or on a trip or whatever your situation is where you can't get to a doctor or a pharmacy. You have that medication there for you. So I haven't had to use it yet, but it's a lot of relief for me. I've had that blood infection 2 times now. The last time on Haida Gwaii took me about 10 hours to get across the ferry to the other island and into an on-call doctor that could come in to see me. So having this and educating myself on it has been huge for my confidence being on the road and exploring remote locations. And lucky for all of us, Jace Medical happens to be a fan of Destination Adventure. So for all of my viewers, there's going to be a discount code down in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there.